or they may be playing football, and the crowd is yelling, kill the referee. But no matter what the score, when the clock strikes 4, everything stops for tea.
Hi and welcome to Spill the Tea, the show for British expats and everyone that loves all things British. My name's Ian.
And I am Sam. You can expect celebrity interviews, interesting features, and today it's me, you, and a cup of tea. It's just me and Ian today.
It's just us. See, there's a reason for that.
Yes, there is.
There is. The fact is that I've been away.
Yeah.
You've been up to your
How
eyeballs
very
and
dare
stuff.
you go away?
I know, it's true. But I had to produce an event in Florida. So I've been to Florida this last week.
Nice.
And which was actually, well, yes, it was warm. It's actually, the weather's been pretty decent here, but it was warmer in Florida. So yeah, that was good.
Tell us what you were doing. Don't leave us hanging.
I won't leave you hanging. No, I was producing a show for a corporate event, and we were doing. It was about 3,000 people audience.
Oh, just just a few people.
Well, I mean, this is one of the smaller ones. It's actually Herbalife who do all the, the vitamins and stuff. Vitamins. Sorry, vitamins. So yeah, it's their 40th anniversary, and we were doing their sort of opener to their big sort of show. So we had a bunch of different acts and musicians and everything, and we just sort of did like a decades kind of show. So it's like 80s,
nice.
90s, 2000s, 2010s,
which reflects their anniversary.
Yeah. So we had music and some acts that sort of framed out each decade.
Fantastic.
And then they had like a big video wall, and so we had to do. The show is like just 23 minutes from top to bottom, but
and it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you produce a show,
oh my gosh,
how long have you been working on it?
Well, I've tried to compress it.
Yeah,
Amanda's been doing a lot of the logistical stuff, and then the last sort of week before it happened, I sort of got involved to do some of the the creative and put this show together as such. So I've tried to compress it as much as possible. But if the client's watching, well, I've been working on it for months. But,
it's work, though. Every element is work.
Yeah.
Every element is a project.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I always find it quite funny, when people reach out to me and say, could you just do, on Photoshop?
We were saying it's those three words. Could you just? And it's never just a jest.
And that's one of our New Year's resolutions. No is a complete sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's important because those could you just are never a 5-10 minute deal.
I know.
And I think it's always better. What's that religious saying, teach a man to fish so he can feed himself? What is that one?
You're on your own there.
Instead of here are your fishes. I've fished for you. But like teach people. So often I will say
it's if you feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Thank you. Is that a Jewish?
No.
Oh.
So apparently we have Travis with us today.
Thank you.
And I have a camera.
And we're glad you have a camera.
Look at you with your shirt and everything.
He's the youngest person in this building.
He is.
Boy.
He is.
That's great.
So just in case, we weren't going to include Travis, he's made sure he's on today.
Yep, this is
sure.
I only get paid in camera angles.
He's wheedled his way onto the show, but we like that. But yes, it is a lot of work. The creative part is a lot of work.
Yeah. Putting
your concepts together and like logistics and then the creative side.
I had to do an edit for each decade that on this big video wall that was decade specific. And when you're doing it sort of fast montage, clip, oh my gosh. It sounded like it was going to be an easy thing to do.
And then it's got to go with the music.
Everything has to be on the beat.
Yeah, because if people don't, if it's not, it doesn't feel right.
And I won't allow that to happen.
Exactly. It's quite the perfectionist to the point I think he makes himself a little bit like nutty.
Clearly.
You definitely take it to the nth degree, which is great for your clients. It's really.
Well,
I just ignore him when he's like, "We're going to do this. We're going to." I'm like, "No, it'll be all right."
Yeah, no, it's true. But Florida was nice. I got to catch up with some friends because I used to live in Orlando.
I know.
And so it was good to catch up with just a couple of friends there. I wasn't there long enough to be able to say.
So you wanted to dip in and dip out, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hard though sometimes because if you can't see everybody. And then they get a whiff that you're around. They get quite upset.
I wonder if the guys out there do the same thing. When you go back to England, it's like, do I announce it or do I not? You know, because you want to be able to see everyone, but if you put it out there on Facebook or whatever, everyone's going to want to see you.
It's
and
hard.
If you can't, then you've let them down.
You probably shouldn't put it out there because you don't want to get your house robbed while you're away.
Well, there's that too. There is that too.
I didn't post it. I sent stuff privately to people, to kind of get over that little hurdle. But it is nice, though, because I think when you've been in entertainment, and we still are, and you've worked and lived in lots of different countries and cities, you have friends all over the place.
Right.
And I think it's fantastic. When you're like, oh, I'm going to be in blah, blah, blah. And you're like, we're going to go see so-and-so.
Yeah.
And that's always really, really nice.
Yeah, no, it is nice. Actually, it was nice to get out of town. I feel like I hadn't been out.
Left.
I hadn't been anywhere for a little bit.
Do you actually go on holiday? Do you actually go on your hollybobs?
On the hollybobs?
Yeah. Do you actually plan them?
It's honestly, it's been a minute. It's been more than a minute.
It's not good.
Well, and I don't know. Here's the thing. It feels like when I moved here to the States, it felt like it
was the holiday.
Yeah. No, the opposite. They just work a lot harder and take a lot less time off. Generally,
yeah, you need to take a leaf out of our books.
Yeah,
because
4 weeks as soon as you get your first day of the job.
That's right.
Plus all the bank holidays that you can possibly,
and you've got to use them up.
And yeah, exactly, and your PTO as well.
Yeah, I mean
beyond that. Well, maybe it's not.
I will say on average, my family and friends go away 4 times a year. On average.
Yeah, that's true. My brother does the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is, why are we not doing this?
Why are we not doing this?
I saw a report once that said they were interviewing people and they were the European versus the Americans about time off. And,
yes.
And people just, I'm not saying people work harder here. It's not that they work harder, but maybe they don't work smarter. I don't know.
They just work too long.
It is. It seems like the culture is that we never stop, and I think we've got.
And I think there's a job security insecurity here, because you'd be gone in a heartbeat. But it's a little bit different in England.
Well, but why? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think and this has been my experience is.
You notice we've gone off on our tangent already.
Well, of course we did.
Whatever we plan to talk about now, this is it.
A lot of it is, did we do a lack of training? Do we need to give this person training? How do we improve this employee? I think it takes a lot of steps before you have to say it's not working out,
Right.
But saying that though, and people that get made redundant, they also get redundancy pay. Yeah. Because if it's no fault of their own that they're downsizing, they get taken care of. So I think that's what it is, and it feels a lot more secure work-wise.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it depends on what state you're in as well, but, it's work at will, we can just get rid of you know what I mean, in a heartbeat.
Right.
And I think there's that feeling of insecurity. So I think when people would say to me, and thank goodness I'm self-employed, they would say, you're going away for 2 weeks? I think that gives people a lot of fear.
Yeah.
That their job might not be there when they get back. What's going to happen while I'm gone?
The idea of going anywhere on vacations for more than a week, in my experience over here, seems really alien and really like. What do you mean you're going away for more than 5 days?
A little bit over the top. Yeah.
That's like the maximum. You can't go there for that amount of time.
We've just had friends go. Andy and Amy, they're just back home for 3 weeks.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I'm sure, thankfully.
Well, he's British, she's American.
Yeah, and they're self-employed. But if that was I don't even if you'd be even given 3 weeks off. I don't know.
Probably not.
I really don't know.
Nobody would employ Andy, so I mean, he would never get. just joking with Andy. But
I think I'm the only person that knows how to work with him.
It's true. Because
I tell him the truth.
And
I keep him in line.
Exactly.
But what I did enjoy, though, he would post his bedtime snack every night. I swear he's getting old. But he would post on his bed a box of Jaffa cakes, some trifle from Marks and Spencer's every night.
Nice.
I got the whole tour myself. I felt like I was there for 3 weeks. It was great.
Nice.
Absolutely great. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, though. I just think it's we do work. I mean, everybody works very hard wherever you are. But I mean, it just feels like there's more pressure here.
I think so.
And
yeah.
that was a little bit like we were talking last week about being aware of that and giving yourself a minute.
Giving yourself a minute. Yeah. Give yourself a weekend somewhere.
Yeah. And maybe that's what it is. Well, I was about to say maybe that's what it is. The fact that you can go to somewhere for a few days, and it's everything proximity-wise is a little closer. But, I mean, there's some great places wherever you are. You know, you can get away for a couple of days.
Well, for Jim and I, we went to San Diego for a weekend. I am not lying. Which what airlines was that, Jim? Because Jim's in the studio today. It was Spirit Airlines. We paid... I have no memory. What did we pay? $75 return each. How much? $60 each.
Round trip?
Round trip. Now, of course, if you want to take a big suitcase, you're going to pay for that.
Right.
But you know your little wheelie bag that fits underneath? Perfect for a weekend. $60. We left. It would have been cheaper if we left on a Friday.
You could take the bag, or you paid extra for the
Take
bag?
that bag on the plane because
Really?
it fits underneath. Yes.
No, I thought it was a personal item, which is like a purse or a laptop.
You could take you can take your little. It's got to fit underneath though. No, I don't mean in the overhead bin because I think there was a charge for that.
Right.
But you can get your weekend stuff in one of those.
Yeah.
If we'd have gone on a Friday, which we couldn't, it was $35 return. But we paid $60 because we left on a Saturday.
Right.
Plane was kind of quiet. Great service. And, just got online. I think it was Expedia. Got a cheap hotel that came with a free rental car. We had a fantastic weekend in La Jolla.
Wow.
I mean, so, yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think the whole, like, top to bottom, flight, car, hotel, the whole... What do you think?
What would you say, Jim? Like $500 or something, if that?
That's amazing for the two of you.
And we had such a nice time. Such a nice time, and we really needed that.
Right.
And just that 2 days away, and it's a cheap and a fast flight. But I think if you do plan it, I mean, we're not far from Mount Charleston. They've got lovely cabins up there. And
no, it's true.
So I think just, for me, to be honest, it's I won't say vacation, a hollybob for me is, do you ever get that need where you're like, I have to be in nature, I have to be on the beach, I want to put my feet in the water.
The ocean for me.
The ocean for you. Yeah. I say that to Jim all the time.
By the seaside.
By the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. You know the song? Oh, don't tell me you don't know it.
No, of course. I'm just enjoying your rendition of it.
What's the next one? No.
That's right.
Diddly dum dum. The brass band play whatever it is. But taking in sea air is good for your health.
That sounded amazing, by the way.
Thank you. You're so welcome.
We have guests on that sing. We could just sit here and sing to you guys if you like. I mean, why not? It's got to that point, isn't it?
I used to sing when I was a kid in panto. Yeah, did a lot of pantomime and stuff like that, and sang back in the day.
But it was like over and I don't want to stress this point anymore. We'll move on. But it was like the whole over the Christmas holiday period. You didn't get enough time off. Well, people didn't take time off. I did.
Right.
Like they'll have Christmas Day off, and then they'll work Boxing Day all the way through.
Yeah. Well, you're doing working on Boxing Day
until Christmas Eve, and then. Yeah. And then just that one day and then back.
And they go back.
And there's no kind of, let's round it up to the weekend. Or...
Yeah, let's take advantage of it. Do you know what's in... I don't know if you've heard of this, between Christmas and New Year, they call it crimbo limbo. Because you don't know what day it is. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
It's true.
You're all confused. But I think from Thanksgiving to New Year, it is kind of a busy time. And then you just decide you're going to go and work in Florida too on top of it. So
too right.
Yeah.
Like you do.
So are you going to plan a proper hollybob for yourself?
I'm going to be going... Well, yes. I mean, I'm going to take a little weekend kind of... But I want to get myself out of town.
Yeah.
So I do want to do that. But as far as like getting away for a week or two, I'm probably going to go back to England.
Yeah, I love going back home. I do. Have the best time.
I'd rather go to Bora Bora, but I think...
It's funny you mentioned that because I was saying to Jim the other day, that Bora Bora looks kind of nice. The clear blue ocean, a little hut on the ocean.
Yep.
That to me would be fabulous. Yeah. My sister right now is in Vietnam. And she's actually not very well. She's in Hanoi. And do you know what's made her ill is the pollution.
Oh, yeah.
She's having a really tough time. So she's been ill for 2 days, bless her.
Oh,
but I think they are moving around. So they're going to go a little bit more remote and hopefully away from that. But those kind of places are becoming extremely popular now.
Right.
In the Philippines, with the Brits and stuff. But what I want to know, and what Ian will want to know is, when can we get the best flight prices and with who?
Clearly.
We want to know the best deals, and how are you finding your best deals?
Well, for sure. And speaking globally...
Oh, let's do it.
We don't have a sting for it, do we? We don't
I was
have like
going
a
to
little
say
intro
we don't have a sting for it
for our around the world thing.
around the world.
But we've just been talking about being around the world, so that's as good.
Are we
as good as it
adding
gets.
anyone?
We've got a couple to add. I'm going to bring this in.
Good. It's so fancy, our globe. Look
Our
at
fancy
that.
globe. All right.
Look
I'm not sure if we're in.
at
Oh yeah,
that
we're in
for a
frame.
globe.
In fact, I didn't even pre-stick these ones, so because there's only a couple, but I noticed that we've got some. These aren't actually post-related right now. These are on our insights.
Oh
So,
yes, we have insights.
if you are in, if you're in Adelaide, Australia,
my family members in Adelaide.
you see, this is
Spreading everywhere.
This isn't. I'm all proud that we get another place that we can add to our globe, and then Sam's like, "Oh yes, it's my family." I mean, I think probably 90% of these blings around here are your family.
I know.
Yeah, geez.
Do you know my family first emigrated to Australia?
Emigrated or were taken there?
Well, it was
Sorry about that.
It was
Couldn't
back when they
resist it.
paid for you to do the passage, and our grandmother on my dad's side went.
I've lost Adelaide.
And I want to say it might have been in the 60s, maybe even a little bit early. I'm trying to think about, watching them come off that ship and what they were wearing. So our family's had a big connection with Australia for a very, very long time. My uncle went out there. One of my nieces was out there not long ago. My twin sister's been out there to see the family.
I'm having issues here.
Oh.
Why can't I find Adelaide? Which coast is it on, people?
I don't know, and I should know.
Oh, there it is. I found it. I knew I'd seen it earlier.
Isn't it tragic what's happening in Australia with these fires?
Oh, I know. That's been horrendous.
I think I saw that 500,000 animals have perished in those fires. I just can't get my head around it.
And if you're watching from Australia, just we're following you. We're terrible to hear all this
There are
news
so many ways in which you can give and help, which I think is really important.
Yes.
But I've never seen anything like that in my life. And how did they even start? Was it a man-made thing?
I don't know. It's just been so hot down there. It's in the hottest summer, so I guess everything's a little bit like a tinderbox.
Yeah.
But so that's not a good thing. But actually, it's the many years ago. I was down in Australia doing a TV show, and it was like the David Letterman or the late night, what's his name, Jimmy Fallon type show down there. And the whole show was being done randomly that night that we happened to be on. And we were there with Swatch, the people who make the watches.
Oh, yeah.
On like a promotional tour. And this particular night, they did the weather on this show. But the format was identical to the Letterman show kind of thing. And there's this guy called Steve Vizard, who was like the Australian, who apparently ended up in jail, I gather, for tax evasion or something, whatever. But anyway, we were doing his show, and this particular night, the whole show was being done with the lottery balls. So he would reach in, and it would be related to an item, like the weather, the first guest, the opening titles, closing credits, blah, 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 all these things. So the whole crew had to be on standby to do whatever. There was no show format. It was just like, all right. So the second thing he pulled out was the closer of the show. So he said, "Good night, Australia," the whole bit. They ran the titles, and then they came back. Oh. It was one of those kind of, we've run out of ideas, let's try and do something.
Oh my goodness.
But so we happened to be on that night, and we were kind of presenting the weather of Australia, sponsored by Swatch. And we're in the wings, and everyone's like, everyone's on standby. And basically what happened was, because the Swatch, it was a Swatch map of Australia with no names on. And I just did basically what I just tried to do in Finding Adelaide. They go, "You do know where everything is, right? Because he's going to be talking and you're going to be highlighting these different places." And we're like,
"Where's the outback?"
No. So we got a very quick geography lesson. I mean, this is going back many years. I know everywhere in Australia now, clearly. But just as they were telling us, they went, "And it's the weather," and we just had to go and make it up as we go along on. Well, I guess I don't know if it was live. It's probably delayed live, but we couldn't do it twice.
Couldn't do it.
So it's
Isn't
funny.
It
That's
funny the
second time I've had issues.
The gigs you have. I mean, you talked about weather. I used to do weather news in Spain. I know, we just used
in Spanish.
No, it was for an English channel.
Oh,
It was, I can't remember the name of the channel. It's still going, but the funny thing was, my sister went with me one time, and we just couldn't stop laughing at the script because I don't know what it was. It said, and there's a big snarl up, and we just fell about laughing. Supposed to be doing the traffic, weather, whatever, and we're just hysterically laughing.
oh,
Not that snarl's that funny of a word, but sometimes
it
you
just
start
got you.
laughing when you shouldn't be laughing.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I've done some funny gigs. I done? I'm sure you've done some funny ones too. We should pull out some of our old photos of some of the gigs,
That could be
especially from the
really
80s.
embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, we do have some good pictures from then. But yeah,
So I've also got one here. It says United Arab Emirates. I've got a big one on Big Little Diamante on there.
Diamante.
But we do actually have specifically Oman here.
Oh, we do.
So I think that's actually right there. So we get another one right there. So we got.
Now, since we've got
another
the globe
sparkle.
out, where would you like to go that you haven't been?
For me on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I would Bora Bora
Yeah.
would be nice. Maldives would be a good second, I think. No, but in terms of a country, Brazil. I'd like to go down to Brazil.
Oh, right.
That's definitely on my list.
Yes.
And I've never been to Egypt or India, which seemed like
India appeals to me a great
It
deal.
does, yeah.
It really does. I've lived in lots of different countries. I've lived in Spain, Portugal. I've lived in Cyprus, Korea, Japan. Hong Kong. Oh, exciting.
they kicked you out of all of them.
All of them. They were like, she's got to go.
Yeah.
But I'd lived in lots of different places. But yeah, India appeals to me. Where else would I like to go?
I was actually last time I was in Hong Kong was the last
Before,
Chinese New Year
before it
before
was
the
handed
handover.
over?
So that was 97.
Whoa. I loved
Which
it.
is weird to say it was that long ago. I think was the last
know.
time I was there.
I love living there. The only way I described it was like Christmas every day.
In Hong Kong?
Didn't like getting in the taxi though. That was like, and like this is gonna be my last day on earth. I mean, it was taxis were scary there, and taxis were very scary in Korea.
Yeah.
Could not look out the window and just hope you would just get there. I think the rule on the road there was the bigger the vehicle, the more right of way. So, if you were next to a bus,
Right.
it was over. I mean, it was really scary. And they used to wear different color little, I'm going to say tabards. I haven't said that word since I was a child, like a little vest.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
different colors. And, one color would mean that they'd not had an accident for a year. And they were the good ones.
Oh, they had to wear those.
Yes, it was
geez.
so scary at times. But yeah, traveling's great. It's a big education, isn't it?
The taxis in Singapore. Well, there's two things actually. First of all, there used to be a time cutoff. I don't know if they still do it, but I think it was like 10 p.m. and after 10 p.m. the rate would hike up.
Oh, really?
So if you wanted to get a cab anywhere from like 9:20 onwards, forget about it because they don't want to take you anywhere because they want to wait until their rate's going to go
Oh,
up.
so the big
Yeah.
paying customers
And then
come
at
in.
10 you'd get as many cabs as you want.
Huh.
Yeah. But the other fun thing with it is they have like the trishaw kind of things with the little guys riding around the bicycles and you're sitting in the
Right, in the back.
And my friend and who I was with over there, he and I were on a show, and he he's from New York. He's a bigger guy,
Right.
and we're sitting in there and in this little like trishaw thing. The guy who's pedaling is like 412 years old, and
Bless
we're
him.
going across like 6-7 lane like roundabout type things
With
and
no rules?
no rules, and all the cars are just
I know.
all over the place. And that was a point where we thought we were going to lose our lives. But then when we got to the hotel, it had like a big long slope up to the portico share thing by the hotel. And the poor guy was like struggling.
Oh,
And we felt so bad
bad.
just sitting there
Oh, no.
that we jumped out and actually pushed
Did you?
pushed him. And he was like, no, I've got this. I'm good. But we were like, no, come on, we got you. So it was everybody at the hotel was kind of funny pushing our own cab up to the front door.
Oh, yeah. I won't feel right, I don't think, doing that.
But it was fun.
Yeah. It's funny when you look back on all your experiences. There's a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're so different in every country.
They are.
I mean, when I lived in Korea, I was in an air raid. My twin sister was with me, thank goodness.
Oh, wow.
And we literally, it was like something out of a comedy show, we literally stopped. We were shopping. We didn't speak Korean. We hadn't been there long. And we literally grabbed each other's arms and looked at each other. We're at war with North Korea.
Oh, my gosh.
Which we weren't, but it was a practice air raid that we were not aware of that they did all the time. And while we lived there, we met the Korean president at the time because we opened a lot of hotels.
Right.
With our show. We had theme parks closed down for us. I mean, we had some...
Nice.
You look back and you think, gosh, that's some amazing experiences,
Yeah.
Tokyo was amazing. Narugo was amazing, north of Tokyo. So we got to see both sides of that. We were in Japanese festivals.
Yeah.
They taught us how to dance, in the festivals and all the gear and just fantastic,
I found in Japan, though, that everybody, it's one of those countries where they don't have to speak English, so they don't. Because we're pretty, spoiled wherever we go around.
Yes, we are.
Our idea of an international, embracing other people's languages, just to speak English just slower and louder.
Because that really helps.
but in Japan they really don't have to, so they don't. And so then you're like, oh, okay, I got to really figure this one out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I mean, this was a tour that we were same tour actually that we were on at the time. Ended up stopped off in Japan, and they had a steak restaurant in the hotel, and I was like dying for a good steak. It'd been a while. So we went down and just, diving into a steak. But and this was an interesting kind of contrast, is the fact that there was another Japanese couple across the way. And you know how, people struggle with chopsticks like you do, and you're like, I'm gonna get this. And you're like, I'm just gonna get it right here. Well, didn't appreciate that it's the same the other way around. And they could not figure out a knife and fork for the steak. And everything. So in the end they were kind of like tearing it apart, but then they put the knife and fork in one hand and used the knife and fork like chopsticks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which I thought was brilliant.
But it's got to be harder than chopsticks.
Well, probably, but easier because that's what they know.
In Korea,
this has become the international show.
It has. I mean,
the travel show
a lot
today.
of the toilets weren't Western toilets. They were holes in the floor, So, your quads got strong. But when we...
You sure you're in the right place? You just... Well, nah, shit, we don't want to tell her that's not the toilet.
Or it was just a joke, cruel joke. Or when we opened these very, very nice hotels, the Koreans were standing on top of the toilet seats.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
To go to the bathroom.
That's right.
And there were instructions on how they should use them.
Well, I've been in like airport bathrooms where it says, "Please do not stand on the toilet seat."
Yes.
And you're like, "Why would that?" And then you look down, there's like footprints on it.
And
you're like, "Oh."
Yes. And then a lot of the
thing.
nightclubs and theatres that we worked at, they'd have the dance floor open for people to dance, but they literally covered it with talcum powder. And the Koreans took their shoes off. As a kid, when you slide around.
Yeah.
That's what used to happen.
Why? But why would they do that?
I don't know. And then because our show sometimes would be on the actual dance floor, if there wasn't a full stage,
right?
We had a mixture of resin and Coca-Cola in a tray that we used to put our shoes in and hope that we'd have some traction. Because I can't tell you how many times we fell down. I cannot tell you how many times we fell down.
Man,
it was
crazy.
So all these things, look back on them, some crazy experiences.
It's so funny when you think about some of these stories, though, because it's like we sit and we'll share them because you can.
Yeah.
But some of them are just so random and
so random.
Why would you even get into those?
Yeah, meeting the president of Korea. I mean, it's just random stuff,
Yeah.
But one day, if we ever get time, we'll write a book about it.
Oh, we're cataloguing it right here.
Well, we are. Maybe it's way easier just to, talk about it and leave it on film.
Exactly. But, so did you ever fly to the extent? Because you obviously flew a lot. Did you ever get to that point where you started getting a little worried? Like, the law of averages.
I used to be. Back then I was very scared of flying, and we flew from Hong Kong to Japan. The day after, there was a massive plane crash, and with one survivor who had actually fallen in a tree. And we flew the next day. And I've never been more...
Same airline?
Same airline. I've never been more scared. What's that noise? What's that sound? And then we almost got into a really big fight with some Italian sports team that were traveling to Japan, and the guys were talking to us. We had 5 girls in our dance show and a male dancer, and the wives didn't appreciate it.
Oh, wow.
And we almost had a big fat fight on the plane that was already scared of being on this plane.
Wow.
Yeah. So, some really interesting, bizarre. Yeah, and I did get more and more scared. The more the more you fly, you think, it's the law of averages and stuff like that. I mean, we had some bad flights, some really bad flights. That was just really scary.
Yeah, the old airport in Hong Kong.
Yes,
actually,
I know what you're gonna say.
You have to fly.
First of all, where's the ground? I can only see water.
Well, even before that though, you used to have to go through the valley.
through the mountain.
And you'd look out and you'd see like ladies with their laundry, and you're making eye contact with them, and you're just at the end of the wing.
Yeah, and you're just going, oh my gosh.
And they said it used to be one of the hardest airports to land in.
Yeah.
And you're going through this valley, and then it takes this really hard ride.
Yeah.
And now if you're in a 747, that's what we're in. That's a lot of
so
hard
scary.
turn. And then you drop down, like you're saying, it's just water. You're like, what are we landing on?
I can't see the runway.
And you eventually hit the deck, and then they reverse the thrust. It's like harder than you've ever heard.
Ever experienced.
Yeah.
I landed once in where were we? It might have been England. You know where sometimes they'll show you on the screen in front of you the front view from the plane. Have you ever done that? Yeah. Don't ever watch that, because it's not always a straight line.
Oh yeah, because they're going at little angles. Like, why am I pointing towards the terminal right now?
Exactly. But since we're talking about transportation,
I hadn't finished on the planes yet.
Oh, go on, keep going.
I know that was going to be one of your tenuous links.
I've got a link. Yeah, but go on.
Well, no, I was going to say the other flight experience, was coming back from Moscow to London, Lufthansa.
Yes.
And it was a smaller plane, more of a express kind of size.
Crank it out.
He spun the propeller at the front. And Amanda and I were sitting, like the front 2 seats there, and the flight attendant seemed to have a few issues getting the door closed, but she figured it out. I'm like, all right, so we got up there. Good for her, she figured it out. And they just brought the food round. We're just kind of like tucking into our gourmet, well, nothing plastic, thing. And suddenly you hear this,
no,
like that. Yes. And it starts getting cold, like colder than it usually is. Yeah. And the flight attendant, rushes back to the front, puts her head through into the cabin, because this was before they had the locking things, where you couldn't do that. And then got herself into a jump seat, strapped herself down, which was right opposite us because the jump seat was facing this way.
She sorted herself out first.
Basically, yeah. And she looked terrified.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the captain comes on and gives us all the information. He goes, you're like, great.
What was that?
And at that point, he takes a nosedive. The plane starts going down at a really concerning angle. And the note of the engine is getting higher. That sort of...
I did, Ben.
Yeah, and it kept going down and down and down. And then we're looking at each other thinking, okay, is this it?
This is the end?
This is the... Oh, I almost got my tea there. Is this the thing? And eventually it leveled out. And we're like, what the... And then he came back on and said something about an emergency landing. And we're like, okay, great. So we didn't know where it was until we touched down in Finland. What had happened is the door seal had popped because she didn't close the door properly. Like a car door when it doesn't close and it was just latched. It was basically that. And so the reason he dove is to reduce when you're at the high altitude, if the door rips off, you basically die within seconds.
Out, yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's no... oxygen up there, right?
Yeah.
So you die.
You're not buying.
And so he got to a lower altitude so that it was safer. Just if it happened, you just get cold. And that's.
Well, I have a Florida plane story. Now that you're talking about that, we went to meet family in Florida to go to Disney and all that stuff, and We're in the airport. My family's flying back to England. We're all crying. We're going to get on our new, I want to say it was a Southwest plane, because they were bragging about it. They said, this is our brand new plane. No one's flown on it. We've paid cash for this plane. We're like, ooh, yeah, that new plane smell. So we get on the plane. It was the week of Electric Daisy Carnival here in Vegas. So a lot of people traveling there as well. And about 45 minutes, an hour in, I said to Jim, what's that burning smell? He goes, oh, that's just new plane smell. I go, no, it's
That's
not.
old plane smell.
No, it's not. And then I saw other people's heads like popping up and going, you smell that? I said, there's burning. No, there's absolutely burning. And I started getting really scared. And the next thing you know, they come over and announce, everybody take your seats. We're in an emergency. We are turning the plane around and we are going back to Florida. We're going back to the airport. I think it was Orlando that we landed in. And we knew we had, I think it was about an hour.
Oh, wow.
To get back. So
why would they, if it was emergency,
why wasn't there somewhere closer?
Right.
That's what I wanted to know. So they said, we're turning around, we're going back. But we'd also gone through a terrible storm as well at the same time coming out. Yeah. So we went back through the storm, burning smell. And finally, but there was a kid next to me who'd fallen asleep and he was going to EDC. Never woke up, nothing. We land back in Florida. He literally opens his eyes and he goes, oh, that was a quick trip to Vegas. And I said, we're not in Vegas. Yeah. We're back in Florida. Why? Because something's burning on the plane. And there was something on fire on the plane.
Oh, wow.
And we were terrified. And then they didn't do anything to accommodate us.
They didn't?
Not until I did a big fat tweet to my very, very large following on Twitter. And then we got taken care of. But not even the offer of a drink. Nothing.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and we had to wait through the night to get on another plane.
I had a friend, remember that British Airways plane that had issues on takeoff?
Oh,
here?
I know a lot about that, but I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it, am I? No, I'm not. I know a lot about that personally, which I'll tell you after the show. But yes, it's set on fire going down.
That's so mean for you. I mean, I'll get to hear it. Well,
I get in trouble.
No, all I know is that there was a friend of mine that was
on the plane.
While
it's set on fire on the runway going down. They were taxiing, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, more than taxiing. I think because they were. I think it had powered up, but then they powered down. They didn't take off.
But
there was parts that flew out. Because they were actually searching around down Sunset Road, which is right next to the airport.
Bits of the plane.
For bits of the plane.
Right.
They were doing that.
Yeah, that was scary.
But they did very well. I don't know how well they did, but I know they did very well.
Oh, taken care of. Yes.
Oh, no, I'm talking...
Like really well taken care of. Oh, we'll talk about that after as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I gather. I mean, I'm not sure exactly. I have no clue. But
I mean, I said to the airlines, we thought we were going to die because the plane was on fire and it could have gone. Because when we landed, it was fire engines, it was police, it was ambulances. Right. They did the whole bit. It was really serious. Yeah.
Well, these guys, I mean, they had to do the jumping off of the apparently
down the little. I do know.
Yeah.
Yeah, down the little chute. Scary,
and then run away from the plane is what they said. I mean, literally clear the plane.
I'd have been legging it so fast.
Yeah.
I'd have just been like, "See you, bye."
Right. But still. But
talking to transportation.
Yes, now we can get to the tenuous link.
Watch the fan. Have I got lipstick on my teeth?
Yes.
So, is it gone?
Yes.
Come off?
I usually spot those things.
I know, it's not supposed to come off. Jim and I binge watched. In fact, I'm going to tell you what the name of the show is. It's called The Tube Going Underground. And
not the Tube as in the 80s music show.
No. The Tube, as in the London Tube, the Underground.
Right.
2016 it came out. Fascinating reality show about the London Underground and how they keep it running.
Huh.
And the relationships and the problems they have to deal with. I mean, they cover the New Year's Eve. I mean, that's a whole different thing.
What was that on?
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Amazon Prime. I think it's on Prime. It was so interesting, the sheer amount of people. I think they said they had over 3,000 drivers for those trains because they come every 2 minutes.
Wow.
And then when they talked about, something went off on one train and how it backs up everybody else.
Right.
How they were maintaining them because they're old.
Right.
I mean, they're well over, did they say 50 years old? A lot of them are 50 years old.
They still use some of the old rolling stock?
What they do is they maintain them as best they can. They're not complicated because back then, vehicles were a little simpler, so how they, the goal is they work 24 hours to fix them, or if they had what they called flat wheels, where something's not in balance, and then it can wreck everything. But they 24 hours, they work on it, they get them back on that track. They talk about people who try to get through without tickets and how they catch them. And
so it's a single documentary, is it, or series?
It's a series. I think there are 8 parts to it.
Wow. I'll have to check that out.
So interesting. And I think if you watch that, you would fully appreciate when things happen.
Yeah.
People get mad. We all get mad when, you're delayed. I mean, hello, a train comes every 2 minutes, so relax a little bit. But how they try, more and more people are using the tube.
Yeah.
They just are. You get your rush hours, when you got football game going on, that's a whole different story. But they had the New Year's Eve one was quite funny because most people were very, very jolly. Of course, they've had a few to drink and what have you. And I think the staff do an amazing job. But one of the things that they tried to figure out was getting people on those escalators and out off the trains. And it was getting backed up, people trying to get in and people trying to leave. So, traditionally it's stand on the right, walk up the left. Right. On the escalator. But what they wanted to try was nobody walk up the escalator, but fill both sides of the escalator and just go up, because that's double the amount of people, because you don't get that many people walking up. Because
or nobody coming down at that point, I assume.
It was the going up was their big issue. I think it was getting people off the train, I think was the issue. Yeah. Anyway, didn't work at first because people were just ignoring him and running up there, They were saying, be part of the revolution. Stand on both sides, What they should have said is stand and don't walk, because people were still going on the left and walking up. So, and they were saying, no, well, let's persevere with it. People have their habits. They don't want to change their habits. But finally they got there, and then they counted people, going up, and it improved, what did they call it? Is it egress? Did they call it egress when you're getting them out?
Yeah.
So I just thought it was really interesting because it's a system that's overloaded.
Right. Yeah.
Basically.
For sure. What do they call it? It's the 3 letters now. I mean, I've been out the country so long, but the London, is it LT?
Oh.
The point is, my friend is in IT for them, so he would probably know all this fun stuff.
London Transport something. Because they have ads on all the radio stations I listen to, cares about how you travel or something like that.
Yeah.
But the characters were very, very interesting. They said, well, like a family, but it is wild. I mean, those train drivers, it's the stuff they deal with, and they're also trying to monitor for, questionable behavior and people left bags and, is that going to be a terrorism thing?
Yeah.
We don't want a repeat of that.
Well, no.
It was really interesting. So it's called, I got it written down here, it's called The Tube Going Underground. I think you really find it interesting and have a better appreciation for the people that work it, because it's
do
something
they play
else.
The Jams Going Underground as their
do you know how
theme
much I love the Jam? Oh,
Jam was my jam.
Jam was my jam as well.
For a bit,
I just loved. I still do. I think a lot of these bands are coming back together. Lots of bands came out of Sheffield, as you know. Herrington,
we do know
Human
that Sheffield
League
is the cultural centre for music.
Yes, I think lots of music comes out of hardship. Tough towns. Steel City, when the business started to go away and that kind of thing. But Herrington did something in the cathedral not long ago.
Oh, nice.
And it, it's like we listen to that music, it takes you right back.
Oh, totally.
It's the score of your youth.
Yeah, they did some shows recently with a full-on orchestra. I saw that. A friend of mine in the UK went to see that, and it was ABC because
from Mom to Sheffield too.
I know. Yeah, but the point being is that it was because a lot of their music used a lot of
yes,
orchestrated music, and even if it was synthesized.
But it lent itself to that, Gold.
Well, that's Spandau.
Oh, that
Gold? That was Spandau Ballet.
Yes, but like those big, like you're saying.
Oh yeah,
it was a big sound.
It was a big sound.
You know, but
that would have been fun to have seen. You know, ABC to a full orchestra.
Yes, ABC and Spandau Ballet, Heaven 17, Geisha Girls. Oh, I mean, all of that.
I at some point, he's on my list. Tony Hadley is on my list to try and get him on
because you
on our
know
show.
him.
Well, he was here to say I know him is a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
But he was here in the studio probably a year and a half ago or so.
Oh.
And we got on really well. It was just so much fun.
Nice.
We were just chatting and a lot, like too much because they were trying to do some work. And then we went to the show here that he did, and we exchanged numbers. But I'm gonna see if we can.
Let's make it happen. 2020, the Roaring 20s.
Put those vibes out there. We'll get Tony.
That would be fantastic. Well, over talking of trains and London and East End of London.
Oh, you're reaching now.
You know, I watch EastEnders.
Oh yeah.
And what I love about EastEnders is come Christmas or typically New Year's Eve is when all the storylines converge and something bad happens or some revelation and stuff. Right. And if anyone watched it, oh my goodness.
What was the thing?
So there were lots
I haven't watched EastEnders in 20 years.
Lots of stories going on.
I can't even. Is there anybody that's still like an original person?
Ian Beale's still there.
Is he?
Phil Mitchell's still there. Sharon is back in the show. Who else is still in the show? Oh, yeah. Dot is still in the show.
Wait, I thought she died.
She's 90. No, she was on. It was either Strictly Ballroom or it was what's the ice skating show back home?
I don't know.
Dancing on Ice or something like that. Oh, no. She's amazing.
Shimmying on crack? Dancing on ice?
She's in her 90s.
Wow.
There are...
She was on ice skates?
She was on ice skates or she was on one of the dance shows. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, a lot of the old characters and a lot of them go away and come back. Say Sharon's back now. Sharon's in her 50s. She's married to Phil Mitchell.
Sharon.
Remember Sharon?
Oh, the blonde one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, her and Ian. Oh, it's...
And there was Michelle.
Michelle's not come back into the show. There was Michelle. She had the baby. That was the big thing. She was young.
With Dirty Den.
That's right.
See, now that was when last time I saw it. So.
And Dirty Den's wife, Angie, is actually married in real life to
Brian
May. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's great. But there's one of the storylines was with Linda, who owns the pub. She's gone down the path of alcoholism, having found out that her child was autistic, couldn't cope with it. Sharon is having a baby, but it's not Phil's.
Dun, dun,
and you don't want Phil to find out at all. And the scene was actually really, really interesting. Almost most of the episode with Linda was her complete meltdown with the alcohol. And she goes to a Christmas party and it's almost like she's blacked out and she doesn't know what this is. And then she's at a party and then she's in a club and then she's with some weird guy that she doesn't know. And I thought it was very, very good the way it was done.
Oh.
But yeah, a lot of it came together. It all came to a head, but Jim loves Phil Mitchell. He loves the bad characters.
He's with us today. He's back over there.
He's sat on a chair that's got a purple cushion, but it looks like he's got purple devil's horns sticking out.
And we still have Travis. Go on, Travis. You can give yourself a little...
Go on, Travis.
There he is.
Hello, everyone.
There's Travis.
How's it going?
We've been talking about stuff that you have no clue what we're talking about.
Not a clue about.
The London Underground. Don't know what that is.
And EastEnders.
Oh, it's great. Don't you love that when everybody gets on and not the whole family got on and you wave bye to them as your train leaves?
I can
I'll see
relate
you
to
at the
that.
next stop. That happens so many times. But yeah, EastEnders, you can guarantee New Year's Eve something crazy will happen, and it did. And there was a lot more to it in case you haven't seen it. But but you said you just watch BBC America. Isn't that just news?
Yeah.
And antiques in the attic.
Well, and that was the thing I was going to say. I have it. I don't really, most of the British stuff I see, I can get on Amazon, Netflix, the usual. outlets. I said before, I don't have the BritBox thing.
I think it's a great
Is that
app.
where you get your
EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale.
I know lots of people do it because I see it posted on the.
It's not expensive,
groups.
but there are other apps. But you know what? Just drop your favorite service that you use, because I'm still trying to get Gogglebox and I don't know how to get Gogglebox. I can only get snippets on YouTube.
Is there any advantage, I mean, with BritBox and all these other things, to being able to try to access the BBC like iPlayer and those kind of things? Because I know for a moment there was that whole, everyone was like, no, what you got to do is you got to do it through a VPN.
Blah, blah, blah. It no longer works.
It doesn't?
And you do need a TV license. But I still don't know if that works if you're in the States for the TV. Maybe someone can let us know.
Right. You do need a TV license. Because I was trying to get Big Ben and the Fireworks for our New Year's Eve show.
Yeah.
And I followed the links all the way through. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. And it says, yes, but you must have a TV license. If you'd like to buy one, like... No, I don't. I mean, £150.
I mean, I know some people like Acorn TV.
Right. They have the older sort of more sitcom type stuff.
And then I've got there's a free app. It's called Friendly with no I or E in it. Friendly. It's a free app, but they do have a British channel. I think it's 175, and you'll get your is it Midsummer Murders and stuff like that. But I want to know, what's everyone else? What are your favourite streaming services that you would say covers everything, including Gogglebox, because I think it's the best show going ever. It's so funny. But BritBox is great, particularly for soaps, But
none of them is live, right? They're recorded.
They're not live, but they're very current.
Right.
They are very, very current.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll go on Netflix and just put in British shows and find stuff, But sometimes I find on Amazon the shows are so old, like 2002. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, that's much.
I just don't want to watch a show. But BritBox does have a lot of the old stuff, but it also has a lot of the new stuff as well. Like Gavin and Stacey Christmas special was on BritBox.
All right,
not expensive, but I would like to know: has anyone analysed all of them and come up with the best one? That's what I want to know about. Because we're missing out some good stuff.
We are.
We
should probably think about wrapping this one up, because you and I, we
should have our own show in
we really have. We've had like a few weeks where we didn't get really a chance to kind of chat, you and I, and get guests in, and it was all, there was stuff going on. But it's been good. And like last week as well, it was nice to be able to kind of sit and chat.
Because, it's always, when we've got guests in, I think it's, you don't get to know too much about us, but we've certainly caught up now.
What? Yeah, no, I'm sure there's just scratching the surface.
Do we want to do one more little story?
You always want to do one more little story.
I do. Well, I might have two, but you know what?
Choose your best one.
I'll choose my best one, because this is all we ever talk about. In any British group, it's all about food. It's about our food. It's about our chocolate. It's about our teas. It's about, we mastered the Yorkshire pudding.
Are we going to do a cooking thing, by the way?
We have to do a cooking thing.
I think we should.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I think we need to show people how to make good sausage rolls, Yorkshire puddings. What else do people have a little struggle with?
There's a lot of foodies here in town. Of course, there's some great restaurants. And
we
actually,
are
Mark,
kind of a mecca for...
Mark McGarry was saying there's some great British chefs in town.
His spotted dick is amazing. There's no other way you can say it. There's no other way you can say it.
All you.
That it is.
Sorry, we know what we're talking
Leslie.
about.
Leslie's Mark's
We know what we're talking about.
We do know what we're talking about. But it is. His sticky toffee pudding is amazing. His sausage rolls are really good.
Well, we'll have to have him in to make some stuff then. And Patrick, of course.
And Patrick, yeah. Oh, my gosh, Patrick is fantastic. But let's talk a little bit about chocolate. There seems to be a big surge of bringing back old shows and old retro sweets and
bring
chocolate.
Back old chocolate?
Old
the ones you find under the sofa?
Yeah,
or at the back?
You'll still eat it, though, won't you?
I will.
You will, even if it's bloomed and it's gone white.
Yes, I just did that today, actually. This morning, and I walked in, it was just like...
It's bloomed.
That's my breakfast.
That's my breakfast.
Breakfast of champions.
You know what? If I could eat chocolate for breakfast, I absolutely would. Yeah. Cadbury's confirms the return of an iconic chocolate bar that launched in 1970. And wait a minute, where's my information? It is the... hello. Where did my little story go? Here it is. And it's confirmed it's bringing back an old favourite on the shelves following a petition from fans. So I think if you petition, you'll get them back. I'd like to get mint cracknel back. I loved that as a kid. Did you ever have that?
Mint cracknel?
Mint cracknel. It was like eating shards of minty glass that was covered in chocolate.
I don't remember that
Probably
one.
quite dangerous, actually. But
what's the one they used to get up in the Lake District and everything? It's a northern thing, I think.
What did it look like?
It was like mint something cake.
Oh, it's called a Kendall cake.
Yeah,
Kindle cake.
Not Kindle.
A Kendall cake. Someone can help us with that one.
But maybe that's just where I tried.
I've never had one.
Haven't you?
We need one. Someone send us one. In fact, feel free to send us a hamper of chocolate and biscuits.
Yeah, we will gladly
test them all and review them all for you, because I think you need an opinion on all of that.
Right.
So let me get back to my chocolate. Come on, phone. Oh, my goodness. So they are bringing back... They brought back Mars bars.
Yeah.
For a very short period of time. Dream bars, don't remember them.
Dream, yeah, I remember Dream.
What was in them?
Just chocolate, wasn't it?
I don't know. But now, they said, in a rare move, Cadbury is bringing back an old favourite. The company has confirmed Bourneville, Old Jamaica, rum and raisin.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
I do remember. I didn't even know. Well, yeah.
It's a dark chocolate, if you love dark chocolate, but it's rum and raisin.
Yeah.
We used to pretend we'd get drunk on it as kids.
I do remember that. As a kid, it was like grown-up chocolate.
It was grown-up chocolate because it was dark chocolate.
Yeah. It felt like you were too young to be able to eat it.
Yes, because it was dark chocolate.
It was just very serious.
Very serious if you were eating that. But yeah, it was more of a... Yes, it was. It was like more of the higher up kind of thing. But anyway, they're bringing
and after 8 minutes.
Oh, I'll eat them anytime. I found a box in my pantry. How did that even exist without us eating it? That's what I was most amazed about, was how did I forget this was even in here, and I still can't eat it. But so they're bringing it back. It launched in 1970, and it said it made several appearances as a limited edition since then to delight the consumers across the UK. It was relaunched in 87, and then in the mid-90s, and then most recently on shelves 10 years ago for 1 year as part of the Bourneville range. So... it's coming back. They said they're really excited about the return of it.
What was the chocolate that you'd only used to be able to get at Christmas? They used to only advertise it at Christmas. It may have been... it was...
Toffee.
No, like a box of chocolates.
Not milk tray. You can still get a milk tray, can't you? Oh!
All gold. Terry's
all gold.
Terry's all gold. Do you remember? That was only advertised at Christmas.
And
I don't think you could buy it any
and we
other
also
time
used to pretend we used to get drunk on the
bottle things.
The
chocolate bottles.
Chocolates
Yeah, of course. Used to shoot them
as children. That's even funnier. So funny. So I don't know how long it's going to be around for, but they said. They're just super excited about it, and the relaunch highlights the increasing consumer demand to bring back retro flavours, because you have memories connected with those, don't you?
Well, we're retro flavours, so they should still bring us. We're an acquired taste. Put it that way.
We are an acquired taste.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I'm more milk chocolate. What are you?
What am I?
Are you the new ruby chocolate that looks pink? Have you seen that? Look at me twirling my hair.
I
think I'm cute with my pink jumper and
we actually have got like
my pink chocolate,
the pale blue and the pink today.
Yeah.
We're being really, yeah. No, I don't know, Lion Bar.
You'd be a lion. Well, it's going to be the Roaring 20s this year, so I think that's appropriate.
Yeah. Although my favourite is Chunky Kit Kat. Not regular Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Chunky Kit Kat.
Do you nibble the chocolate off first?
No, I'm right.
And that's another thing. Tell us how you eat your chocolates, because
that's a very personal
there's
thing.
There's quite a trend as well with nibbling the end of the Kit Kat off each end,
right,
with your coffee or your tea, and using it as a straw.
You're just making this up.
And then it all melts, and you just ram it in your mouth.
We've been going for like 4 days so far, but there is one on the idea of weird
Go on.
food that I do want to touch on real quick.
Right.
So wedding cheeses.
Wedding cheesecakes. Wedding cakes made out of cheese.
Wedding cakes made out of
Yes.
cheese. How is that a thing?
It's a thing.
Well, and I know it's a thing because my brother
Had a cheese.
He
wedding
did.
cheese.
he got
wedding
married a
cake.
few years ago, and I don't know why this has just come to me. Of course, we haven't got a lot of time to be able to talk about this because people have got a life to live, and we've got things to do. But I have to say, how has it gone from a wedding cake to wedding cheese? Like they're like 5-tier cheeses, right?
I know.
But what's the logic behind
Big
it?
rounds of cheese. Well, there's also a trend, and my niece did this instead of wedding cake. She had a big giant pegboard full of donuts.
I like that too.
And that
but
was
I understand that. But is it because the cheese lasts longer or what? I don't know.
Do you know what I would like?
But here's the thing.
Go
though.
on.
When he told me that, and I'm like, you're kidding me? What do you mean you're having a wedding cheese?
Rounds of cheese.
Rounds of cheese. He says, yeah, it's a thing. I said, so do you still like do the whole ceremonial knife? He went, oh yeah, we still do that. So of course I started to giggle. And if you happen to live in this country, I said, so you will be cutting the cheese still then? He went, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm giggling, and he's like, what? So then I had to explain to him that cutting the cheese over here means
not very
to
nice.
break wind, to fart, to let
very
one
nice.
go. And but she thought it was hilarious. So when they actually did it on the day, of course they had to share that story. And
Oh, did they?
yeah, and at that point it became a much more entertaining moment for the onlookers as they stood there together,
And cut that.
freshly married, cut the cheese together.
Do you know what I think would be perfect? Because I love Christmas cake. I love that. I love the icing and the marzipan.
Yeah.
But have you ever had Christmas cake with a little bit of cheese?
No.
Ah, yeah, it goes.
Doesn't sound right.
It works. It honestly works. But we could be doing this all the time.
We
Tell
could.
us how you eat your chocolates. Do you nibble the chocolate off your Kit Kat? Do you use it as a straw? If not, try it. Do you dunk your biscuits? Which are your best biscuits? They say that the chocolate hobnobs are the Navy SEALs of dunking biscuits because they don't disappear. They're strong.
Are they really?
Oh, a rich tea, forget it. You'll not. 1 second, it's gone.
We had somebody. Oh, I think it was Ben brought some in.
Oh, did they?
I took him home.
Did you?
I should bring him back.
He's so nice, is Mr. Ben.
He is.
You know what? On the last note,
She's gone.
One thing I
did.
did bake though is I made, and I didn't eat them, but I did make them, rosemary and orange shortbread biscuits. And again, that's the kind of biscuit
Sounds
you
odd.
have a little bit of cheese, or or you can have it with like my homemade chocolate mousse, and it's amazing. If you want the recipe, I'll post it. It's so easy,
Well,
but
you
it's
should.
very delicious.
Nice.
Maybe I'll bring you some next time.
So our show today was
Food,
food, travel.
the underground,
Yeah.
our crazy performing stories.
Yeah. And I know we've got way more of those too.
Way more of those. But we will
Get
pull up some
into.
pictures. I think we'll give people a good old laugh about our 80s hairstyles.
Well, maybe.
Got plenty
And
of
Travis is already playing us out. Look at that.
He's sick of it.
done. So I guess we're done. We're going to run out of time. So we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.